Blind elderly man was followed by a dog for days, what he finally admitted. Every morning at 7:15, Arthur Bennett left apartment 204 with a white cane and a wool cap his late wife knitted the winter before she got sick. He walked the same 3 blocks, out the door, past the bakery that started kneading at dawn, across Maple and over to the little park where the bench with the brass plaque lived. On Tuesday, the barista at the corner shop noticed a dog shadowing him. Brindle coat, no collar, ribs a little too easy to count. The dog didn't beg or bark. He simply fell in at Arthur's left side, 1 step behind the cane, pausing when Arthur paused, moving when he moved. On Wednesday, he was there again. On Thursday, too. By Friday, people along the route were whispering about it. The butcher, the mail carrier, the lady who watered her plants at exactly 7:22. The dog would trot ahead at the curb, plant his body sideways like a barricade, and look up the street for cars. When Arthur stepped down, the dog stepped down. When Arthur hesitated at the park gate, the dog nudged his knee and waited for the cane to find the groove. "Morning, Mr. Bennett," the barista called. "You got a friend." Arthur smiled in that polite way people who don't see faces learn to, and lifted a hand. "He keeps showing up," he said. "He's not mine." "Seems to think you are," she said. Animal Control finally got the call. Officer Hannah Cole rolled up slow, windows down, voice soft. The dog watched her, calm and calculating, then returned his eyes to Arthur like the world outside the white cane didn't merit a response. "Sir," Hannah said, stepping out, "is this your dog?" Arthur shook his head. "No, I feed him sometimes. He started walking me." "Walking you?" Arthur tilted his face toward the sound of her voice. "I'm legally blind. I manage. It's just crossings are loud. He shows me where the quiet is." The dog flicked an ear, as if embarrassed to have his secret said out loud. Hannah crouched and let the dog sniff her knuckles. Up close, she saw the scar on his shoulder, the healed nick on one ear, the way he held himself like memory and muscle were the same thing. "You don't have a collar, buddy," she murmured. "You belong to anyone." At the park, Arthur found the bench by counting steps. He touched the plaque the way you touch a name you can't read anymore, but still know by heart. Elaine Bennett, it said to anyone whose eyes worked. Forever my always. The dog hopped up and sat on Arthur's shoes. The move made the air feel gentler. Hannah checked the neighborhood. No flyers, no missing dog posts that matched. She kept her distance and watched them take the slow way home. Dog blocking a scooter that zipped too close. Dog planting himself when a delivery truck backed up without looking. Dog pausing at the building door until Arthur found the handle. On Saturday, Hannah knocked on apartment 204 with a bag of kibble and a thought that had been bothering her since Thursday. Arthur opened after the second knock, cane tucked under one arm. "Officer," he said, "if you're here about fines, he isn't mine." "I'm here with questions," she said gently, "and maybe a solution." He hesitated, then moved aside. Inside was neat in the way of men who learned to fold out of necessity. Labels and raised dots on the spice jars, shoes lined up like soldiers under the chair. Everything with a place except the ache. "What's his name?" Hannah asked. Arthur's throat worked. I haven't named him," he said, and the lie wore no coat. After a beat, "I call him Buddy when he's near traffic, so he hears a sound I can say fast." Hannah nodded. "Do you have a guide dog?" Arthur exhaled. "I did. Daisy. Best girl who ever lived." He touched his pocket like the name lived there. "She passed last spring. They say the wait for another is long. The fee is longer." He tried on a laugh that didn't fit. "I'm fine with the cane. I've been fine a long time." The dog, Buddy if anyone was asking, lay down with his ribs against Arthur's shoes and closed his eyes like this was the point of the morning. "Mr. Bennett," Hannah said softly, "if I bring a scanner by, can we check for a chip? If he's lost, we should get him home. If he's not, we should get him safe." Arthur's fingers found the dog's ear. "Of course," he said, and added in a voice smaller than the apartment, "I knew you'd say that." They scanned, no chip. Hannah booked a same-day vet check. The clinic hummed with Saturdays. The tech squeezed them in because the dog didn't flinch at the muzzle like strays do. He tolerated the stethoscope like he'd earned the right to be poked. Heart strong, Age 3, maybe 4. Teeth good. X-ray clean. Someone had loved him once, then someone hadn't. Temperament? The vet asked. Hannah looked at Arthur. Arthur lifted his palm and the dog pressed his head into it with the confidence of a creature who understood verbs. Solid, she said. Sounds like a candidate for service training, if a trainer will evaluate, the vet said. He's already tasking on his own. Hannah leaned on her radio and her better angels. By Monday, she had North County service dogs on the phone. We don't usually place dogs already attached, their director said, but we do in-home evaluations when the dog picks the human first. The evaluator, Matt Dawson, a man who spoke English to people and body language to dogs, came Thursday. He watched Buddy block a curb, do a natural brace when Arthur lost his balance on the last stair, and then lie across Arthur's feet under the table like a weighted blanket with a heartbeat. He's untrained, Matt said, and he's halfway there. Arthur swallowed. He's not mine, Matt shrugged. Right now he's nobody's. We can fix that. Here is the thing Arthur wouldn't say until Hannah asked him kindly enough. He couldn't afford it. The deposit, the vest, the follow-up. Pride is a coat men like Arthur wear until July. Hannah posted a photo on the precinct page she wasn't supposed to use for anything but lost and found. Blind neighbor walked by Stray for a week. Stray decided to walk him back. She kept names out of it and put a link to the service dog nonprofit. She expected it to do what these posts do, collect a few hearts and disappear. It didn't. The bakery shared it. The barista taped it to the tip jar. The middle school PTA sent $27 in a note that said, "For Buddy's vest." An anonymous donor covered the evaluation fee. A retired bus driver brought by a harness he'd found at a yard sale, too small for a shepherd but just right for belief. In 3 weeks, Buddy had shots, a microchip, and a city license that said he belonged somewhere. In 6, he had a starter vest that fit like a promise, and a trainer who met them 3 mornings a week to put names to the things he was already doing. Wait. Forward. Find curb. Inside. Home. Arthur learned to trust again. The full-body kind, not the polite one you do with strangers. He learned that Buddy would plant if a cyclist cut the corner and would refuse a command if the command was about to put Arthur into a bumper. That's called intelligent disobedience, and it's the most beautiful stubborn in the world. The day the nonprofit did the public access test, the whole block pretended they weren't watching. Buddy ignored a dropped hot dog, held a downstay while a stroller squeaked past, and led Arthur through a crowded grocery aisle like he was parting a sea no one else could see. They passed. The trainer clipped a proper harness and slid a tag onto the D-ring. Buddy, service dog. Arthur stood very still. He put both hands on Buddy's shoulders and let the day rearrange his ribs. Hannah brought out a small box. Inside was a second brass plaque, paid for by people whose names Arthur didn't know. Elaine and Buddy, keeping Arthur safe. They attached it beneath Elaine's name on the park bench. Arthur traced the new letters like a map back to a place he thought he'd lost. There was one more truth Arthur finally admitted on a slow walk home. Buddy angled just right so the cane didn't catch the curb. He said it to Hannah once and never needed to say it again. I told everyone I was fine, he murmured. I wasn't. I was lonely. I was scared to say it out loud in case it made it louder. Hannah nodded. Then let him say the rest for you, she said, and Buddy leaned harder into his knee as if to sign his name. Some afternoons now, if you stand by the bakery at 7:15, you'll see them. A man in a wool cap, a shepherd in a blue harness, both moving like parts of the same sentence. At Maple, the world still gets noisy. Buddy still finds the quiet. At the bench, Arthur still reads with his fingertips. Sometimes help doesn't knock. Sometimes it falls in step and refuses to leave. Sometimes a neighborhood raises a hand, a few dollars, and a little noise until a stray with good instincts becomes a service dog with a name. If this story mended something in you, like and share it. Subscribe to Next Kindness, where the next turn in the tale is already waiting on the corner.